I woke up in confusion, not remembering where I was, but then I remembered I was safe and with Greyson, who was already awake. He was packing his small sleeping gear, humming softly to himself. "Good morning." He smiled warmly at me when I sat up. "Morning," I said awkwardly as I tried to flatten my messy, knotted hair. "I'm sorry if I overslept. I usually wake up at sunrise. I've never slept so long." "You don't have to apologize to me for anything," he told me as he tossed his sleeping gear near the entrance. "And I'm glad you got a good rest. You tossed and turned a lot last night." "I did." I frowned in confusion. I felt like I'd slept like the dead last night. Greyson walked over to me, and I tensed a little as he sat down next to me. "You kept begging someone not to hurt you." I blushed and looked down. I didn't remember dreaming. Greyson slowly reached out and put his hand under my chin and tilted my head up. "I promise that no one will hurt you again." I stared into his eyes and nodded, but I didn't know if I believed him. "I've boiled you some more hot water." He pointed to the bowl. "Why don't you freshen up and come out for breakfast? We'll leave the second you've eaten." "Okay, thank you." It was obvious that everyone was waiting on me because when I left the tent, the men began to pull it down instantly, and everyone else was just sitting around waiting while I ate, and I felt bad for keeping everyone waiting. After Greyson helped me into the carriage, we continued our journey, but when we were about to leave the Fae territory at the border to go back onto Lycan's land, our procession paused, and when I peeked out the window, I noticed Greyson coming over, wearing pants and nothing else. I blushed and looked away from his perfect body, as he stopped by my window. He passed me a golden dagger. "Keep this on you." "Why?" I asked as I took it. "Is something wrong?" I started to panic. Had Aamon come after us because I'm a white Lycan? "There are Fae guards coming. We came onto their land without permission," he told me as he touched my cheek. "If they attack, I want you to have something to help." I gulped and nodded. "I'm sorry. If it wasn't because of me, we wouldn't have come here." "Don't take the blame for other people's decisions," he told me. "I am the one who chose to come this way. Don't blame yourself. Stay in here and draw the curtains." I nodded again and quickly pulled the curtain, but I sneakily peeked out a gap to see what was going on. I watched as several cloaked men and women came over to Greyson and Andrew, who stood in front of the other men. The guards pulled their cloaks back, and I was shocked at how beautiful they were. Their skin seemed to shimmer under the sunlight, and their pointed ears were covered in gold earrings. Even their amour was covered in gold. As Greyson spoke, one of the Fae, a braided-haired man, stepped forward. His gaze was intense. I couldn't hear what they were saying, and my heart raced nervously as a few more Fae started walking around the carriages, and I noticed a few of Greyson's men move closer to me. Finally, after several intense minutes, Greyson stepped back and came over to the carriage again, and I quickly moved back so he wouldn't see that I was watching. Greyson opened the door and climbed in, sitting opposite me. "It's safe, but they're going to come with us for the rest of the ride to the border, so I'm going to stay in here with you, just in case." "Oh, okay," I said, feeling a little nervous to be alone with him again, but I reminded myself that I was safe, and that I just spent the night alone with him, and he hadn't done anything to me. The carriage started to move again, jostling me, and Greyson quickly reached out and grabbed my waist to steady me, and I instinctively shoved him back as my heart began to race. "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was worried you'd fall." "No, it's okay. I'm sorry I shoved you," I said quickly, looking down and trembling. Would this be the moment he hit me? Greyson reached out, and I cringed to prepare for the sting, but instead he put his hand under my chin and gently lifted my head up. "Don't be afraid." He smiled and kissed my forehead. I was breathing heavily as I sat back. I was so confused by his actions, but I was happy I wasn't in pain. "What's your country like?" I asked to break the awkward silence. Greyson smiled and rushed into a description of his country. He sounded so proud of his people, and it seemed like he had a great relationship with his allies. I listened to him talking. His voice was really nice, and I loved watching him smile as he explained his pack and castle. "I really think you'll love it there," he told me before he paused and looked out the window. I looked and saw the Fae guards had come up to the carriage. Greyson spoke in another language, most like the Fae language, and then we began moving again. We've crossed the border. I can leave the carriage if you'd prefer. No, it's okay. I told him, and he smiled as he leaned back. For the next few hours we continued to talk, only now Greyson was asking me about my life. His questions were simple and direct. He asked about my life, my interests, and the world I knew. I faltered, fumbling for words. I was never allowed to have hobbies, and I'd never had a friend. When his questions turned serious, and he asked about the abuse, I found it hard to talk about with him, though I didn't understand why. Tolen had already told him everything I'd told him, and yet, now that Greyson was asking, the words wouldn't flow easily from my lips. I didn't want him to think I was weak. Luckily, we stopped for lunch at a small tavern only our path, and I got a break from the questioning. As we did the previous day, we continued traveling after lunch and stopped when we arrived at the Silverfong pack. Greyson helped me out of the carriage, as a large dark-skinned man walked down the stairs of his pack house. Greyson, welcome. Diaz, it's great to see you again. Greyson hugged him. Thank you hosting us. You're welcome, think nothing of it. Is this your mate? I lowered my face so I wouldn't embarrass Greyson, but he grabbed my hand and kissed it, shocking me. Yes, she is, isn't she exquisite? She is lovely though. Have we met before, dear? She was from Iron Pack. Diaz's face fell. You poor thing, he commented. Goddess knows we're all praying Tolen will take the kingdom back from Dane and the trash son of his. Greyson smiled. I agree. Dane and Aamon aren't worth the dirt under my girl's feet. I couldn't help but smile. Was he jealous that Aamon was my destined mate? Remembering he was my mate made me sick. Why had the goddess done this to me? Come in and rest, there's enough time to change before dinner, and Brianna has organized some rooms for you all. She's extremely excited to meet your future queen. Walking into the pack house, I was taken aback by the sight of lobby area. It was beautiful and filled with sunflowers. My love, Alpha Diaz said to a woman standing on the staircase. Welcome. The beautiful woman came rushing down, her eyes piercing yet warm. She seemed genuinely excited to meet us, which was unexpected. I felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. I instinctively hid against Greyson's body, seeking solace. Brianna saw that I didn't want to be touched, and quickly stepped back. Thank you for having us, Brianna. Greyson took her hand and kissed it, and I felt a strange desire to rip his hand back. It's nothing, she smiled kindly. I've prepared a room for you, this is Steph, she'll show you to your rooms. Thank you. Greyson smiled and started pulling me after her. We were led through a brightly lit corridor, our steps echoing softly in our wake. Beta, this is your room. Steph pointed to the left before continuing. I thought we were going to stay in a tavern tonight. I whispered. We were, but I guess they wanted us to stay here, don't worry. Greyson smiled. The pack house is much nicer than the taverns in the area. This is your room, Alpha. She bowed her head before walking away. We were shown to a room, simple yet cozy, but to my surprise there was only one bed. I exchanged a glance with Greyson, but he smiled. Don't worry, I'll sleep on the sofa. He gestured to it. But it's not very big, I pointed out. I'll sleep there, you can take the bed. I will survive for one night, don't worry about it. He brushed me off as he put my bag he'd been holding onto the bed. I think that must be the bathroom, he pointed to the door. Change in there and I'll dress here. Okay, I said as I lifted the bag. We changed for dinner quickly, and left the room together. I was already tired from our journey and wanted to just curl up and sleep, but I didn't want to be rude, so I pushed myself to go. The dining hall was grand, a stark contrast to the rustic surroundings of the pack grounds. The table was laden with various dishes, half I'd never seen before. I caught Beta Andrew's eye as I saw everything, but he just smiled and shrugged. The Alpha and his wife sat at the head of the table, their eyes watching us with excitement. Greyson pulled out my chair, and I froze momentarily at the gesture, but he just smiled patiently, and I quickly sat down. "It's so good seeing you with a mate," Diaz said to Greyson. "We feared you'd never find her." Greyson smiled as he looked at me. "Me too, it took you long enough to come into my life." He teased me, and I smiled as I looked down. "She's a little shy." "So sweet." Brianna smiled at me. "But don't worry, dear, King Greyson is a good man. Stop flattering him, or his head will grow too big to leave the pack house." Andrew joked, and Greyson hit his arm. "You're just jealous, you're not as amazing as me." Greyson teased him. "Would you listen to this guy?" Andrew laughed. "His head's already too big for his crown as is, don't worry, Luna. I'll help you keep him grounded." Everyone laughed, but I still wasn't used to this kind of thing, and just smiled when addressed, but otherwise stayed silent. As dinner progressed, conversation shifted from happy banter to more serious matters. The Alpha spoke of the war, having already spoken with Tolen. After dessert, Greyson must have realized I was spent, because he made an excuse for me to be excused, and walked me back to the bedroom after I thanked everyone for dinner. "Just have a nice warm bath and get some sleep," Greyson said as he pulled on a cloak. "I am going to have a few drinks with Diaz, but there will be guards outside your room for your protection, and if you need me, just ask one of them to link me." "Okay." "I wouldn't leave you, but we have some business to discuss while I'm here." "It's okay, really. I'll try not to wake you when I come back," he said as he walked over to me. He gently places his hands on my upper arms and leant down slowly, before kissing my forehead. "Get some rest." I smiled as he left, but when he was gone, I felt an odd sense of loss. Was this normal for mates? I showered and dressed, but as I was about to climb into bed, I looked at the sofa. It really was too small for Greyson, and weren't mates meant to put each other first? I picked up one of the pillows and spare blankets and went to sleep on the sofa, but when I woke in the morning I found myself on the bed, and Greyson was fast asleep on the sofa, his long legs hanging over the edge. I frowned as I sat up. How did I not wake up when he moved me? I'd never felt safe enough to sleep through someone's touch.